Hello, and thank you for coming to the January 23rd City Council meeting. It is 7:31 p.m. Mrs. Arcisi, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Brandt.
Here.
Mr. Finley.
Here.
Mr. Garvis.
Here.
Ms. Tully. Here. And Mr. Ventura.
Here.
And I'd like to ask Chaplain Tom O'Brien from the American Legion to lead us in the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance.
Little technical difficulty here. With bowed heads, let us pray. Almighty God, Father of all mankind and Judge over nations, we pray Thee to guide our work in this meeting. We pray for those who serve the people and guard the public welfare, those civil servants who work at City Hall and throughout our community, that by Thy blessing they may be enabled to discharge their duties honestly and well. We pray for our local leaders, that by Thy help they may provide the leadership our community has empowered them with. And finally, O God of mercy, we ask Thy blessing and comfort for our neighbors who may be suffering mental or physical disability. Cheer them and bring them Thy blessing of health and happiness. Amen. Amen. And now please face the flag and join me in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next on our agenda this evening is we're going to recognize the Nordonia Hills girls varsity basketball team. Head coach Julie Buckler, assistant coaches Ryan Flynn, Matt Spellman, and Sandra Spellman. I'll ask you guys to come with me up here in a moment. And thank also Rob Eckenrode, the athletic director, for helping put this together, because this was a lot to get everyone on the same time and schedule to get you guys all here today, so thank you for that. But I want to congratulate you guys on an incredible season. The young ladies, parents, coaches, and the entire athletic program, you should be proud of where you stand today. And I've had the opportunity to be at a couple of your games. My daughter plays for the middle school, and I think it is awesome and amazing how you guys bring the middle school girls up. You have them in your I don't know, halftime talks, and when you guys are talking about the plays and things like that. You don't know how far that goes for a 7th and 8th grade girl to be a part of the high school team doing that. That is phenomenal, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to recognize you guys today, because she was just blown away by that. She felt like she was part of the team, and as she grows and progresses in her basketball career, I hope, if she stays interested in it, that, you know, you guys have helped to get her to where she wants to be. So I thank you for that. That was awesome. Now I'll ask the coaches to meet me up here in the front.
You want the whole team, right? You get it.
Yeah.
Okay, don't embarrass everybody. So your recognition today comes from my office over there. It says, whereas Nordonia High School girls varsity Knights basketball team has made this season one to watch with a scorecard this season of 16 wins and 1 loss. It is currently ranked number 8 in the Northeast Ohio by Cleveland.com. And whereas, although they have had several outstanding individuals on the team, they are succeeding because they are functioning well as a team. Each player knows and performs her role to the best of their abilities. And whereas they have averaged 52 points per game, 38 rebounds, 11 assists, and 9 steals, they hold their opponents to 39 points and 26 rebounds per game. And they beat Wadsworth for the first time since being in the Suburban League. And I have to add there, I went to that game. That may be one of the best basketball games I've ever been to in my life. I thought it was over, it wasn't over, and you came back, and I'll tell you what, I was just blown away by that. So awesome job on the Wadsworth team. Whereas the girls' team is comprised of Hallie Majeros, Lizzie, help me out here, Emery, Madison McMillan, Ella Gorda, Kennedy Silva, Dominique Evans, Madison Cluse, Taylor Root, Danae Williams, Carmela Hack, Dee Dee Atkins, and Mary Bella Dunlap. And much recognition goes to head coach Julie Buckler and assistant coaches Ryan Flynn, Matt Spelman, and Sanders Spelman. Now therefore, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor, and on behalf of our governing body and all citizens, I do by proclaim January 23rd, 2020 as Nordonia High School Girls Basketball Day in the city of Macedonia, and urge all residents to show their enthusiasm and support for this team. Congratulations and thank you. Just as a little show of our recognition, everybody gets a little Macedonia water bottle too, and we'll have the IT director will get you those when you're on your way out. But now it's your turn to talk. I'll get on. It's not getting off that easy.
Not prepared at all. I can't say enough about those girls coming together through this entire season so far. We've had ups, we've had downs through the last few years, and they continue to fight for each other and with each other. And I can't say how proud I am of them, that they fight, and they battle, and the season 16-1 is a testament to all of the work that these girls have put in.
Thank you. Appreciate it. One last thing, if you guys can, Saturday at 2:30?
2:30.
Big game. They're playing Stowe. They're 16-1 as well.
They're not. They lost a few, but they're our only loss.
They're
this
our
year.
only loss, so if you can make it to that game, that's the one you want.
Big game, big game.
Home or at Stowe?
Yeah,
Home.
home games.
Okay,
Get it.
at the house. Thank you.
You can go. Yeah, you can go. You can go. You can go. Thank you very much.
Go to the door.
You guys, thank you. You guys can go. Good seeing, Dally. Good luck.
I can't see very well because it's trying to read and it's like getting blurry.
That's great.
I rubbed something in my, it was actually, I think on Monday, I was playing, I think I took mine, I started rubbing it, it was much worse than this. So no, it wasn't long.
Good seeing you. Very proud.
Give them a minute to filter out so we can hear each other. Something tells me I don't have enough cups. Good job. By my desk. Deposit. Box to the right. Okay, we're going to move on now to the public comments. We ask that you come to the microphone up here, give your name and address, and it's 5 minutes or less, and I know the chief will keep time for me as he always does. So first on our list is James Vitale.
I don't know if this is the correct time to address Spruce, or should I wait until it's on?
This is really the only time you can address
This
it.
is the only
so-
time? Okay. So I'm here with regard to Spruce Hill Crossings. That was approved unanimously by the Plan Commission. I believe last time this was in front of council, they approved it, but did not follow the recommendation of planning and did not waive the sidewalk requirement. So I'm here. I provided a letter earlier today that I received from the existing Spruce Hill Homeowners Association asking that the sidewalk requirement be waived for this phase. Just to be clear, I'm not asking for sidewalks to be completely waived. There's still a sidewalk on Spruce Hill Drive, which is the main thoroughfare of the development. But Phase 1 and Phase 2 of this development do not have sidewalks in front of the lots. The reason being these front yards are not large front yards. I'm just asking that Phase 3 have the same exact treatment as Phase 1 and 2 with no sidewalks in the front of the lots. That would make this completely consistent with what was already built and consistent with the Villas of Terramania, which is a very similar type of development and product. Also, it'd be fairly aesthetically unpleasing to have the sidewalks in these front yards. That would make 33% of these front yards sidewalk. Including the driveway, that would be 53% of these front yards would be concrete. So not very aesthetically pleasing. It's something the HOA does not want. Lastly, the costs. The HOA in their letter indicated they do not want the cost, these being private sidewalks, do not want the cost of maintaining or replacing these sidewalks in the future. It would be a budgetary issue for them. And in their letter, they explained it is an expense they do not want to incur to have the sidewalks in front of the lots. They want it to be the same as it was in Phase 1 and Phase 2. Again, there is sidewalk down Spruce Hill Drive, the main thoroughfare. These side streets they're putting in this phase are not thoroughfares. They're not through roads. Actually, the back of this development is just a private drive for emergency purposes only. So there's not cut-through traffic. These homes have been marketed to empty nesters. To my knowledge, there are no children even living in these neighborhoods. It is mostly empty nester product and empty nester people living in these neighborhoods. Again, Plan Commission unanimously approved the plan, waiving the sidewalk requirement, and the HOA Board of Directors from Spruce Hill Crossings has asked that the city do the same. I have copies of the letter here from the HOA Board requesting it as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on our list is James Feliski.
My name's Jim Feliski, 512 Canterbury Lane, Sagamore Hills. Dear Macedonia Council, Parks and Rec, and Mr. Mayor, I come before you as a representative of the Nordonia Hills community and a member of the Board of Trustees with the Nordonia Hills Athletic Association. I'd first like to take a moment to thank you for the opportunity to discuss some concerns and ask questions related to the NHAA and youth sports in our community. The NHAA is about to embark on its 62nd year in providing youth sports to our local community. This program provides an opportunity for all young boys and girls in the community to play sports and maintain a level of activity over the spring and summer months. The NHAA feels that providing this opportunity is an integral part of this community, a unique community, Nordonia, unlike many others. Our community made up of 4 separate municipalities, all sharing the same schools and even working together with emergency services. This is one of the best communities in northeastern Ohio and is literally the crossroads of northeastern Ohio. With all that said, in 2018-2019, the NHAA and Macedonia administration offices began to discuss upcoming changes related to the use of the ball fields in Macedonia and Longwood Park. The initial proposal was to charge $20 per hour with a 2-hour minimum. However, after further negotiations, we were able to come to an agreement of $10 per field per game. Part of this negotiation was to work together as a community for the benefit of the children. The negotiations were that the NHAA would assist with the fields by providing all the equipment needed: liner, bases, anchors, pitcher's mounts, windscreens, storage boxes, equipment to line the fields, etc. The NHAA was willing to work with your office and donate this equipment for access to the fields and use at a lesser cost. This was agreed upon, and the 2019 season went forward. During the 2019 season, field construction began, limiting our use of the fields for more than half the season. We moved on and filled in where we were able to around the other communities, and were still able to get our season in. However, we were still looking forward to next year. Take note that the NHAA has donated equipment totaling roughly around $10,000 to the City of Macedonia fields. At the end of 2019, Mr. Mayor, you contacted myself and asked me to meet you and Angela Manley in your office to discuss last season in 2019. During this meeting, the 2019 invoice was held up and shown to me by yourself and laid on the desk in front of me, stating, "This is not going to happen again." This was the time we discussed the cost of the fields and the adjustments for the 2020 season, which we agreed upon. And we also noted it in our November meeting in our minutes, what those adjustments would be. It was requested of me at that time of this meeting to email Parks and Rec with our requests for field availability. I did so as requested on October 15th with confirmation on October 17th stating receipt of the email and that someone will be getting in touch with me. I have confirmation of that on the 17th. No further contact was made, and I had sent follow-up requests on November 25th and again on December 5th. I subsequently received an email from Parks and Rec on 12/10 with the field request form. However, the form was not correct with the pricing agreed upon during the meeting in October. I requested an updated form to be sent to review, which I then received on January 3rd. At that time, I was informed that the only days available would be Thursday, Friday, and weekends. However, after further discussion via phone and email, we were informed that the fields would not be available most of the season, as they have already been reserved by an outside organization that is made up mostly of non-Nordonia community residents. Also, due to the events being planned by the City of Macedonia, more dates and weekends would be lost for our use. As an example, Longwood Park has only 6 days available in June this coming year to the NHAA community. Please explain to the community how this has come to be based on the explanation and time frame above. So I ask you this: why would the leadership of such a great community made up of many make the decision to create obstacles for the children of our own community and not give them the opportunity to play on their own fields paid for by the taxpayers? Now it appears that you intend to use the Longwood Fields as a source of revenue while shielding it from your local youth and community. Mr. Mayor and Council, can you please inform the community your intentions and how these funds will be allocated around the community and the City of Macedonia? For just a year ago, your council publicly supported the youth in our district, as well as tonight, and with the school levy. What's changed since that time? Why not continue to support the youth and community in the NHAA now? Thank you for your time and attention.
I'm going to address some of your comments, and I got to admit to you, Mr. Feliski, I'm a little disappointed that we had an open line of communication and you decided to come here tonight and I guess state a lot of things that aren't even factual. I want to point out a few things to you. The outside organizations you're referring to that you're saying is not our children are our children. Over the past 2 days, I've had a half a dozen people inform me of this coming tonight. That's a little concerning to me, considering it's saying something about the organization that there's a problem within that you're bringing this to me today, and those people were concerned enough to let me know that this was going to occur today. I'm a little concerned about that. The outside organization you refer to again are our kids. A lot of them are, I guess the word to use would be defecting from NHAA to go over to this other organization, which I never even told you what that one was. You assumed what it was. They are going to that organization because they didn't see NHAA to be fit for them, or whatever the case may be is not relevant to me at this time. The rec program has worked with you on this endlessly. I have, and I'm going to say this very loosely, I have bent over backwards to make sure that our kids play on these fields. You forget to note too that my children also play in the NHAA, both of them, 2 of them. So if I didn't believe in your organization, my children wouldn't be in it. That kind of says something. So it's a little insulting, some of the things that you implied here. We met on October 10th. In that meeting, I asked you to give me your demand for our fields. We put $250,000 into our fields because the product that we were providing before I felt was inadequate. And I think you would agree with that. I think we have now the best fields in the area. At that time, I told you we would charge you $7.50 per field for 2019. And just to be clear, with what you paid the city in 2019, $1,020. So if I'm looking to speak to the residents of this community and the investment we made into the ball fields, and I spent $250,000, I got 249 more years to try and at least show that I did something. That doesn't even include my labor. I'm giving a lot to you. I feel like this is somewhat disrespectful because I have done a lot to make sure I'm supporting you guys in this organization, and now you come here today with this stuff. Just another note to that, your original bill was $6,600. So to say I haven't done anything with the NHA is so false, it's insulting. $1,020 is what you paid us. Let's put this into perspective a little bit further. One of these outside organizations that you're referring to utilized our fields for 1 month and 7 days. In that 1 month and 7 days, they paid us $5,300. So I think I've done a lot to help you. I'm not trying to bankrupt your organization. When we talked about increasing our fees, there was a lot of things being said that we were going to bankrupt you and we were trying to destroy your organization. That's not the case. If anything, we're trying to help you. We're trying to keep it as reasonable as possible so that our children play on these fields. And you had that direct line to me to contact me at any point. You had the direct line to her. As a matter of fact, the most frustrating thing is today you sent your demand. We talked on October 15th. I haven't heard from you since. Do you have an email or a phone call to me? Because I can't seem to find it. But I'm not trying to be argumentative. My point to you is this. With what we have going into this season currently, you were sent a schedule with what's available. Another thing that was false that you mentioned here, there's 1.5 days that are booked out of the week. You have 5.5 other days to choose from. We give you exclusive rights to Sugarbush Park the entire time. So 5.5 days of fields, you can choose at any time. We didn't tell you no. And as a matter of fact, in your request today, I believe, Angela, it did show those in there, did it not?
It showed, what Alan had sent showed what was available.
So there's 5.5 other days available to you that I've never said you couldn't use these fields. They're actually almost exclusively yours still. So I'm not understanding kind of where we're at today, because we've talked about this, and you and I have dealt with these things on a personal level, and I thought we were in a different place, but apparently I'm wrong. Have I missed something?
May I?
Please, come up to the microphone, please.
So as what was sent to us recently,
Yesterday.
I have the emails that date back to October 15th, when I originally sent the email over with our original request of what we were asking for per our meeting. And you are correct. You and I have had a lot of discussions and a lot of talks. Then I received this from your office with the available dates. And to make it a little bit easier as to what's available to us, just so you could see it quickly, in April, in May, those are the dates available. In June, there's 6 days based on what we have received. And then that's what's available in July, but our season ends right here. So what we're looking at from the board, from the local community, who's running the baseball program, is the accessibility to fields. You are correct. You and I did have discussions, Angela, John. We've all been there together. We're frustrated, as we thought that the agreement that we had by providing you with the equipment was to have access to the fields first as your local community, to be able to get the access to the fields for the youth of the community, which some of these people represent, some children that actually here play within the NHAA along with your children. So by donating the equipment that we agreed upon, totaling, which I can actually present, on 5 fields, to have 6 days available to your local community of roughly 800 children seems to be a little odd. We received an email from an outside organization publicly putting out on the email the tournaments that he's hosting here at Longwood Park throughout the whole month of June, which therefore is the reason why there's only 6 days available and 2 fields on every Monday. And that's it, from what I was sent. So that's.
He only has weekends, and to be clear, when you're referring to Tuesdays, half of those fields are for a church league. So
I understand that.
We've had forever, that's not changed. So the other 2 fields, he was taking those fields on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So it still left the other days available for you to utilize, and for whatever reason, the weekends were not being used by you, or whatever the case may be, but they're still available to you. Now, if you're
At what cost?
If you're referring to our internal programs, we don't have any intention of getting rid of those. So naturally, the internal programs that we run, we still want to continue to do that. We've talked about merging those, but at
Correct.
this time, it didn't come into fruition, so we're not doing that at this point. So yes, the fields would look for our own programs. We've been doing that.
Correct. So even like last year, when we wanted to host our All-Star Weekend here at Longwood Fields, because they were done, and to have a really nice event, it was cost prohibitive for us because of what the cost was going to be to your local community for use of the fields on a weekend. So we chose, as a board, this is the board here, to move it away because it was cost prohibitive for us financially. We have a responsibility to the kids to keep the cost down as low as we can without increasing cost and fees, to keep it reasonable for everybody to go out and have fun. I'm not here to, I don't want you to think I'm here to argue or to pick a fight. I'm not here for that. We're not here for that. We're here as advocates for the kids to get them on the fields in their community, to create memories. We got one chance as a parent, one chance as a community to create memories that are going to last a lifetime for these kids. What better opportunity than to promote your fields by bringing in your travel teams, which travel teams are being represented here as well, to bring them in and showcase your fields from all over northeastern Ohio. But unfortunately, in the month of June, We don't even have that opportunity. And that's the biggest time of when you could showcase those fields. The first year where they're fully going, that's the time to showcase them and bring in all these other teams. We would love to host a tournament here for the local teams, to support the local teams and the 12U teams, to send them to Cooperstown, something that costs a lot of money to send those kids, but to use it as a fundraising opportunity and bring in teams from all over the state to showcase those fields. But we're being limited. We can't. So you do mention about weekends. Last year, we were quoted $150 per field per day for a weekend field to the local community, when any other day we're paying $15 for a field.
So let's talk about the dynamic of why that is. So I have to answer to the people that live in this community and this council and our costs. You asked to have someone there to drag fields. That's a person there on time and a half. That doesn't even cover that person for that time that they're going to be there. And we explained that to you in that meeting, that
Correct.
I have to be able to justify what the costs are. And if I continually operate in a deficit, I have to look back at you and say, okay, so how do we make this thing work now? If you have these needs, and I want to help support your needs, there's a cost associated with that. That $150 would get us just about to the break-even point. And that's all I was conveying to you. It has nothing more to do than being responsible with the finances of the city. This board that sits here delegates those dollars to me. And if I continually go to them and say, I'm putting an investment in, but I'm not recouping anything to try and cover any cost, that's going to become a problem at some point.
But I think when we spoke, we agreed that we would pay for those people to be there to drag the fields for us at that time. But the cost of $150 per field per day times 4 fields, to have 1 game or 2 games on a weekend, that didn't seem as a good fiduciary responsibility on our behalf. Just as your council is running the city, we're a board of volunteers as well that are trying to maintain a program that's been in existence for 62 years and keep the cost as low as we can for the benefit of the community and the kids. That's all we're trying to do as well. So that's why we donated all the equipment to you, which, John, you are aware. You guys still have the equipment. The equipment is still buried in the fields. Our liner is still in your service shed. We bought all the liner to put on the fields. We're willing to work with you. We've been willing to do the whole thing all the time, but then when we come up with availability where our kids don't have that opportunity, think of it from...
I think you and I need to meet again, because again, I think this is not the appropriate venue or time to have this discussion. I think this is somewhat inappropriate, actually, because I think we could have handled this,
That's
between the two
that's
of us.
fine. I'm happy to meet with you.
I think that's something we need to do, you and I.
That's fine.
And then we could talk about this more.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
For the record, I need to actually clarify.
Sir.
Jim, for the record, you have to clarify the $6,000 as a treasurer versus the $1,000. Plus also, there's 1,000 kids in the NHA, our community. There's less than 1% within that other organization that is running those fields that's publicly saying they are going to be able to utilize their fields for their tournaments. So within their organization, less than 1%, and they're hiring those fields for tournaments for outside places. So your point, yes, there are individuals that have defected and gone to the NHA, left the NHA and gone to there. That is correct. However, you're now catering to the less than 1% versus the whole of the 1,000 kids that are all Nordonian Hills community members. So that's one clarification. Just need to be clear. Second, that $6,000 that you spoke about, as a treasurer, that is correct. You gave us a bill for $6,000. However, that bill was incorrect. So it's actually irrelevant. The correct bill was the $1,000 bill. So thank you for allowing us to work together to correct that bill. So to be clear, there was no going out of your way to make a bill correct, if it should have been 1,000 to start. My name's Mark Sprang. As the treasurer, just wanted to be very clear. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next on our list
Hold on
is...
1 second, Mayor. I think, Jim, you guys are aware that all of the bases have been removed, as well as the feathers and the caps for the anchors that are covered up in the ball field now.
Yeah, we take them every year, so.
The caps as well, that protect the anchors from getting filled with ball?
You show them anywhere, the kids throw them all over the place.
They're all gone, that's all I'm saying. This has brought to my attention, they're all gone.
No, we have them.
Guys, time out.
All right, so, you know, I didn't know if you guys knew about it, because somebody took them, so.
Time out, sir. This,
Just adjusting John.
you're both talking.
So John, to be specific, we do pull those on an annual basis because what happens, those feathers are about $8 a piece. The kids take them, throw them anyways. Then you lose the anchors. We purchased a metal detector. We go out in the early spring, find it, dig them, put them back. And then we place the bases back. We do that so we try to save costs.
Okay.
We do that on an annual basis.
Did not know that, wasn't aware of it.
Yeah,
Never,
no
was never
problem.
informed, so
That's-
I'm told by my
That's
staff.
how we do it, that's how we go
Everything's done, so-
at Longwood and
Now
all the
people get
fields.
with the fields.
We've done it every year that way, and we continue because we feel that's the best way to save the cost on those.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we invested in the technology with the metal detector to go out on a field day, dig them all up, and put new feathers back in.
Are those the things that we found when we were doing cleanup, on cleanup day? They're little metal.
foam things.
Correct.
They
Did
did
the
venture
cleanup
around.
day-
They throw them out.
We weren't sure what they
Yes.
were, so, sorry. I played baseball, but
Thank you for
we
clarifying.
didn't have that information.
We do that
They're
with
not
all
allowed
the
on
fields
field.
at all the schools in every
Okay.
community that we maintain the other fields. as
We
well.
we were all standing going, we didn't know what it was, so thank you.
Angela, can you, the month of June, is that correct? I just want to verify that, because I'm not sure.
I don't have that information printed on me, but I will say that that is not just for other field reservations, that is for special events. I know, there are special events, we have our festival, we have a week of planning for that festival, the festival takes place, we have a 5K, we have a lot of community events that take place in our parks as well, and we block those dates off because we don't have enough parking to accommodate our community events that we get thousands and thousands of people that attend. So those are not just blocked off and handed over to other organizations. I just want to be clear on that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, next up is Nicholas and Carmine Lanise.
I'll waive my opportunity to speak since these guys kind of covered everything from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. Dan Jasko.
I just want to talk from a personal standpoint. My name is Dan Jasko. I live at 1186 Ledgeview Road, Macedonia, Ohio. And I've been on this board for 7 years now. I've been the field manager for 6 of those years. And I come up in the spring, and I've been doing it. And I know you guys took over the fields last year, but I've been coming up here every year in my spare time, checking the weather, seen in March when it's maybe 50, 60 degrees out 3 days in a row and I can get on the field without trashing it, digging up those anchors, finding the feathers, getting them in there, getting it ready so we can drag the field and we can do that. And we've been doing that since this place opened. So also the anchors that are in the field, I spent all of last winter in my spare time putting those in cement in my garage, letting them dry, taking them out, doing it again in Tupperware containers so they wouldn't spin. That was a problem we had, not letting them spin. Now, I did that work for our organization, and I did that work for our community kids, and I never minded it. Never got paid a dime for it, never did anything. Did it all on my spare time. I would take my kids up there. They would help me out. I'd take my wife up there. She would help me out. And I did that all on my spare time as a Macedonia resident and as a member of the NHAA. So to think that I did all that work all those years to not get, like, our organization at least first dibs on the field at the beginning of the year when you start talking about it. At least where you can say to us, what days of the week do you want what fields? We'll, mark it off for us. And that's what hurts me as a Macedonia resident. I've been living here 15 years. I'm not from here. I moved here because I love this community. Absolutely love it. And it just hurts my feelings that, We can't even get these kids on these fields when we saw it built from the ground up. Now, the NHAA has been dragging these fields and doing all the work on these fields for all this time, except for the last 2 years when you guys took it over. So think about what those fields would look like if we weren't using them for 20 years, or we weren't using them, or dragging them, or spraying weed kill on them, or putting our bases up there, or fixing the anchors every spring, or putting the feathers in there that cost $8 a piece. We did that. You know, and that's all I want to say. That's from a personal level as a Macedonia resident. You know, and that's, I mean, aside from what you have with Jim, whatever, I don't care. I'm just telling you from my heart, this is how I feel, and it hurts my feelings, and that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Next up is John Casmer.
Fell asleep again. Okay, I'm John Casmer, 849 Chinook Trail, Macedonia, Ohio. I'm not making public comments, although I'm kind of tempted to tonight. I'm giving the Longwood Manor Committee report. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council, and department heads. Welcome, Mr. Garvis and Mr. Finley. We hope to see you at the Manor sometime this year. I'm going to talk a little, just briefly. We're in the phase of doing our 2020 membership drive right now. That will get started now. We have a website, by the way, www.longwoodmanor.org. If you go to it's the second page, the contact page, if you want to volunteer, you know, you can send us an email, or if you have any comments, you know, please do that. Or if you want to be a member, you can do that there and we'll contact you. Let's see, we turned in our annual report just yesterday to Diana. We want to report our last fundraiser that we had was in December 14th. That was the craft show. That was, we felt successful. It was the first time we did it. We had several vendors. We had a lot of people come to the Manor and made a new member, a new volunteer. So it was worthwhile. Sold a book, one of our books. Our next event, let's see, will be open January 26th. That's the Sunday, 1 to 4. That's our monthly open house. We will not be open at all in February. In March, we will start having our monthly meetings again. Those are the fourth Tuesday of the month. Everyone is invited. That's open to the public. Starts at 6:30 p.m. at the Manor House. So we're making plans for 2020. We applied for a gardening grant with the Nordonia Hills Garden Club. We're applying under the category of beautification of historic structures. They're going to put in flowers, let's see, 4 butterfly bushes plus 100 native plants around the Manor. We're trying to beautify the Manor, especially so people see it. It's appeasing. So that's something that, well, we applied for a grant with the Ohio Gardening Association. That's where we'll hear from them. Or it's called the GCO, Gardening Club of Ohio grant. Let's see, I think that's about it. We appreciate the new light that we see in the driveway. There's a new light, you know, like at night when we have a meeting at night. Yeah, I'm not sure when that went in, but we go there now and all of a sudden, you know, we go there at night, oh, we can see in the driveway a little better. That was good. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Mr. Kadler, just so you know, I did get you guys a grant again this year for $1,000, and that should be forthcoming probably by mid-year, so I wouldn't,
The NOPEC?
yes, so NOPEC's going to give another $1,000, I guess, grant donation to your organization again, so.
Yeah, I want to schedule a meeting with you in March to talk about, we got that money, we got the money last year, We have some ideas of how we could spend that money for the house. I just wanted to discuss, because it involves some electrical work. in
Well,
the dining room.
remember, it's specific because the NOPEC has to do with energy, so it has to be something related to energy, which I'm sure we can find
It would be-
many needs that relate to energy in some way with the home, so anyway, any money is good to help, so.
Yeah, there's a baseboard heating in the dining room, it's not working anymore. I think the electricians looked at it, but we'd like to get that going, so maybe we could spend, pay you to do that, have your electrician do that work this year, I hope.
Thank you. All right, moving into pending our new legislation. First up is resolution number 3.
Before we do that, I'd like to make a motion. Did we get the minutes? No,
No, the email was clear that they weren't going to be in there.
there were minutes, right?
No, the email said there were no minutes.
Oh, okay.
They were not included.
But
You
before
did not
coming-
receive them, so you cannot make a
Yeah.
motion to say that you received them.
I'd like to offer resolution number 3, 2020, for its first, second, and third reading by title only, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
A resolution amending Resolution 3 relative to the compensation of the law department.
Director Goodetti, can you explain what this legislation is?
Sure, this is a reallocation of retainer funds that the law department's currently receiving. There's no increase in retainer, there's no change in personnel. The net result for the city is gonna be a reduction in pensionable funds by $5,000, so the city will have a minimal savings as a result of the measure.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Mrs. Arcisi, can you reread the resolution number that's up for change? Can you reread the title?
Resolution amending Resolution 3, 2016.
Thank you.
And what's your pleasure?
I move that we pass and post according to law resolution number 3, 2020, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 3 passes. Resolution 4.
I move to author resolution number 4, 2020 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
A resolution confirming the reappointment by the mayor of Anthony Cox to the City Planning and Zoning Commission.
The next 1, 2, 3, 4 of these are the reappointments to the Planning Commission. They run concurrently with my term, so we're going to go through those 4 folks again. If there's any comments about those there, and you guys can make them if you deem necessary. So what is your pleasure?
I move to adopt resolution 4, 2020 and post the same according to law.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 4 passes. Resolution 5.
I move to author resolution number 5, 2020 for its first, second, and third readings by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
A resolution confirming the reappointment by the mayor of Joe Shoshone to the City Planning and Zoning Commission.
And what is your pleasure?
I move to adopt resolution 5, 2020 and post the same according to law.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 5 passes. Resolution 6.
I move to offer resolution 6, 2020 for its first, second, and third readings by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
A resolution confirming the reappointment by the mayor of Patrick Filata to the City Planning and Zoning Commission.
And what is your pleasure?
I move to adopt resolution number 6, 2020 and post the same according to law.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 6 passes. Resolution 7.
I move to offer resolution 7, 2020 for its first, second, and third readings by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
A resolution confirming the reappointment by the mayor of Kevin Westbrooks to the City Planning and Zoning Commission.
And what's your pleasure?
I move to adopt resolution 7, 2020 and post the same according to law.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 7 passes. Resolution 8.
Mayor, I would like to first amend resolution number 8 to be consistent with the information as written.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, now I would like to offer resolution number 8 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
A resolution authorizing the disposition of certain municipal property by the Service Department, excuse me, of the City of Macedonia in accordance with City of Macedonia Codified Ordinance Section 12105 and the Ohio Revised Code Section 72115.
So essentially what we're doing with this piece of legislation is we have a bunch of vehicles that have essentially been sitting in our parking lot that we don't use a lot of. Some of them we acquired through the police department for whatever reason, and some that we don't use very much, and we're spending more time putting money and repairs into these vehicles because we use them so little that we're going to put them up for auction, and there really have nothing there that's of much value. I think the most we had on there was $3,000, John, is that correct?
We're hoping we're looking to spend like 2,500 for
They're
auction.
essentially vehicles that are darn near useless, so we're going to put them up for auction and dispose of them. Any other discussion? What's your pleasure?
I move to adopt resolution number 8 and post the same according to law.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 8 passes. Resolution 9.
I'd like to offer Resolution 9, 2020 for its first, second, and third reading by title only, please.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
A resolution authorizing the city engineer to prepare plans, bids, and specifications, and further authorizing the mayor to advertise, excuse me, for bids for various roadway improvement projects for the 2020 road improvement program.
Mr. Gelati?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. As discussed in the work session, this is legislation very similar to previous years for our annual road program. This is simply to go out for bid for the road program. List of roads to be paved this year is in the exhibit. I'll read the roads quickly for the record. Broadmoor, Broad Ledge, Ledge View, Navajo, North Chinaberry, and a portion of South Bedford Road. That's the curved portion at the north half of South Bedford Road.
Thank you. Any other discussion? And just to be clear, this is just so we can go out to bid, so we get the contractors to give their numbers, we take the lowest and/or best bid from that point after that. So we'll have another piece of legislation forthcoming. And what's your pleasure?
I move that we pass and post according to law Resolution number 9, 2020, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 9 passes. Resolution 10.
I move to offer Resolution 10, 2020 for its first, second, and third readings by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
A resolution confirming the conditional zoning certificate issued by the Planning Commission, Planning and Zoning Commission to Petros Homes for the planned unit development known as Northwoods Phase 2.
Director Goodetti?
Sure, this is somewhat of a housekeeping measure. The majority of these homes are already built. This is something the Planning Commission had previously approved as a PUD in an R1 under their conditional use powers. The code indicates that council should confirm it if it so desires.
Any further discussion? What's your pleasure?
I move to adopt Resolution number 10, 2020 and post the same according to law.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 10 passes. Resolution 11.
I move to offer Resolution number 11, 2020 for its first reading by title only.
A resolution confirming the Planning Commission's approval of a final development plan for the planned unit development known as Spruce Hill Crossing Phase 3, for which a conditional zoning certificate was previously issued by the planning and approved by council.
Director Goodetti?
Sure, this is somewhat similar to Northwoods as far as the procedure that council's following. It's a little bit different because council had already approved the conditional use that the Planning Commission had approved a couple of years ago. That approval by the Planning Commission was conditioned on a variance being obtained by the BZA. That variance was not forthcoming, and an appeal was filed by the applicant, which is currently pending in the Court of Common Pleas. Since that time, the matter went back to the planning commission. They reconsidered their prior action and approved the site plan, the final site plan, as proposed with no variance conditions. So now it's before council for consideration.
Thank you. Resolution, or I'm sorry, ordinance 12.
I move to offer ordinance 12, 2020 for its first, second, and third readings by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance amending ordinance number 85, 2019, relative to the position of Service Department Supervisor, that's spelled wrong, within the Department of Public Service only as to the, that's spelled wrong too, pay grade and FLSA status. Why
So-
is it spelled wrong? Because it's caps?
Yeah, it's because it's all caps.
Caps, isn't correct here.
Yeah.
So essentially, 12 and 13, when we brought on our service supervisor, initially when we talked about it was going to be an hourly position with overtime. After discussion with the staff and the council, we decided to make that a salary position, which obviously is a better benefit for the city financially, so we decided to make it that. We're now changing it just to say it's going to be a salary position. This is not an hourly position, which takes it from non-exempt to exempt. And that's essentially what 12 and 13 are accomplishing, correct? Mr. Goodetti?
That's correct, sir.
So what is your pleasure?
I move to pass and post ordinance 12, 2020 to the same according to law.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 12 passes. Ordinance 13.
I move to offer ordinance number 13, 2020 for its first, second, and third readings by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance amending ordinance number 69, 2019, relative to the compensation schedule for the non-union city employees of Macedonia.
And what's your pleasure?
I move to pass and post ordinance number 13, 2020 to the same according to law.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 13 passes. Are there any other motions or legislative actions?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to add Resolution 14, 2020 to the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'd like to also make a motion to waive the 48-hour rule.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And I'd also like to make a motion to suspend the three-reading rule and read Resolution 14, 2020 for its first, second, and third reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
A resolution confirming the appointment by the mayor of San Pilato to the City of Macedonia Board of Zoning and Building Code Appeals.
So I had, these are generally the mayor's appointments. I put these online for anyone who is interested. We had openings on the Planning Commission and the BZA. Mr. Pilato had expressed interest in actually both of those. We filled the Planning Commission one, and I think it's a good fit for him on the BZA, so I'm making that appointment tonight with your approval. So what is your pleasure?
I'd like to make a motion to pass and post Resolution 14, 2020.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Welcome to the BZA, Mr. Pilato.
Can I make a comment, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'd like to welcome Sam back. He's been involved in the city of Macedonia for off and on for quite some time, and he's got a stake in this community and has always put that up front.
Thank you, Mr. Ventura. Correspondence from the clerk.
I have none, sir.
We'll move into the mayor's report. I'm going to talk a little bit about the business of the month, which this month is the Macedonia Recreation Center. The Macedonia Family Recreation Center has been in operation since opening its doors in 2000 and is celebrating their 20th anniversary. The facility has experienced a tremendous amount of growth over the past 2 decades and has served thousands of residents from Macedonia and surrounding communities. The 55,000 square foot facility is open to the public 7 days a week. They offer daily, monthly, and annual pass options, as well as silver sneakers and other programs. We invite you to attend their open house on Sunday, February 23rd from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. for prize giveaways and much more, and I hope to see you all there. I'm sure I stole that one from you, so I'm sorry for that.
I just have no report tonight. Thank you.
See, I'm expediting things.
She'll say it again.
We all have no report.
Then also, I'd like to recognize our employee feature of the month, which is our finance department. We feature them, and the finance department is under the direction of Director John Veras and his administrative staff, Andrea May. Patty Kursak, Lisa Hamrick, and Laura Welsh. I would have named all your employees, but we'd be here for another hour, so please let them know that I appreciate them too. They continue to strive to look for ways to improve efficiencies. Their motto, a department for others, and I think that's a great thing for a finance department and this community moving forward, because that's someone who's saying that they're here for others, like the community, the people that live here, and that's kind of what I'm after. We thank them for their dedication and hard work in serving the residents of this community. The NOPEC donation, I already mentioned about Mr. Casmer and the Longwood Manor Historical Society. We're also going to give $1,000 to the Veterans Memorial. They've done a lot of great work. You guys may have noticed they put the new structure up there, and they're working hard to get the dollars to complete the concrete to finish that, so it's not as much of a swamp going forward. And I think they're moving closer to that goal, so we're very hopeful that they're able to raise more funds this year and get that completed. And finally, please put the phones down and don't drive distracted. Moving into committee reports.
The Parks and Rec Committee had its first meeting of the year last week. We did a lot of getting ready for the year, getting together our attendance plan, our schedule, talking to Angela about what she had planned for the year, and this is just kind of a housekeeping meeting. So we're all excited and ready to go for the rest of the year, and we're happy to continue to work with Angela and John, and I'm very happy for all of you to have put me on this committee once again, because I really enjoy working on it, and that's all.
Any other committee reports? Hearing none, we'll move into department reports. Director Nanavich.
Thank you, Mayor. Last weekend's weather event brought us just about everything. We had snow, sleet, rain, even some sunshine. The only thing we were missing was fog in the morning hours. Our crews did a good job with the weather conditions the way they were. Had a lot of snow coming down in a short amount of time. 50 hours of combined man hours were worked for the 3-day event. This started in the early morning hours of Saturday, and we're finally able to end by the afternoon of Monday. People call in saying that trucks are driving fast. You know, they got to watch what they're doing. We have GPS on all of our vehicles. When I receive a call like that, I immediately look up the truck, time frame in which this occurred, and the date from the resident, and I go over it with them to show them that, you know, one person, I guess they say they ran out there trying to slow a truck down in development. They said they're going too fast. They were at 24 miles an hour. Now, in a development, 24 miles an hour is going to look like it's going fast. It's a large truck. They're intimidating. As opposed to being on 82 with 4 lanes or 5 lanes across, going that speed will look a bit slower. But also, when you have snow the way we did, the wet, heavy snow, you have to generate some type of speed in using caution, but with the speed to get the snow up and over off of the roadway. Otherwise, it'll just either, if you ever notice the boulder up, you get the large boulders in your driveway if you're going too slow, or it'll just fall back and slump back into the roadway and still cover the lane, and our efforts are pointless. So all in all, everyone did a great job with the crew. The crew's working around the clock the way they did. Very pleased with our results. We did have one breakdown where the truck couldn't get into a development at the time, and they were asking why, because usually they're there, but when that happens, we concentrate on our main roads first. We have to keep those open, and then we try to get into our developments afterwards. Once the truck was up and going again, after a couple hours, we were able to get into that development and clear it out. And one little fun fact, since we had the legislation for tonight, a testament to our engineer and our road program. 3 years ago, we gave a report this time that we used 11 ton of road material for pothole patching. To date, right now, 2.5 ton. And that include doing some areas in our parks that we didn't have. That was just on roadways 3 years ago. So it shows you what the road program has done, really, for the service department, having to go out there and continually take good money at bad roads and try to fill them for temporary relief. Road program's done a great job for us. So, good job, Joe.
It's also important to note, because Director Nanavich and I had a call about someone saying that we hadn't been on their road for an entire day. We have GPS on all our trucks. And in fact, the gentleman that I'm referring to, we had been on his road 3 times. So, you know, with the snow we're getting and the amounts that come down, and this is Ohio, so nothing's common or normal for us anymore, because God only knows what we're going to get tomorrow, and, you know, it's very difficult. But know that if there's ever a question, because we get the comment all the time that the truck was going down the road going 50 miles an hour. We have GPS. If you see that and you feel that that's how fast they were going, let us know that. We'll address that. We want to know that. If something is wrong, or, you know, maybe the person was going a little too fast, we can address those problems. But know that we have GPS and we can confirm what is being said and investigate it. So it's a good tool for us to make sure we're doing our jobs.
before you move on there, can I say something about Mr. Nanavich and his crew? Not only have I heard great things, just, I don't pay attention to social media, about how they've handled this weekend, but also yesterday I retired, many of you know, and I volunteered at the Emergency Assistance Center, and there was accolades made by seniors about how the contracted snowplow company is handling their driveways. They've been very happy with them. There's been no problem with them accessing the roadways or their driveways.
Good, thank you.
John, can you really quickly go over the policy about mailboxes and why mailboxes get knocked over when plows come by? Are the plows lifting up off the road and hitting mailboxes?
It could be a combination of snow, also, snow load, like this weekend was a perfect example.
It was very
of such,
heavy
you know, heavy
snow,
snow
yeah.
plow, but when these mailboxes come down, we go out and address, we assess them. And if
How should people get in touch with the service department?
They call
Can they-
City Hall and get in touch with they call us.
Just
with the
call?
service.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is
over
that
the
the best way to
weekend,
do
I
it?
guess our voicemails got full.
Oh,
So then I was receiving emails also and responding to emails over the weekend as they were coming in. Then once we came in Monday, we had to free up our voicemails because they were all full from the messages.
people were upset about the mailboxes getting knocked over, but they also were very happy with the way that you handled it afterwards. So accolades for that too.
Thank you.
And we know it wasn't your fault. I know. I
Well, Mother
assume your
Nature.
plows aren't going and hitting the things, but people were very pleased with the way that you handled it. So thank you.
And keep in mind too, when that snow is that heavy and wet, that plow has to go at a minimum, what we say, 15 or 20 miles an hour to keep the plow moving. So when you have that amount of force going into anything, it's not going to have a good result when it's all said and done. So a lot of times it's not the actual plow hitting your mailbox, it's the force of that wet, heavy snow plowing into your mailbox and likely knocking it over. So that's going to happen from time to time. Mr. Gelati.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. John, thanks for sharing the information on the winter cold patching. That is a fun little fact, and I think that's really nice. It just goes to show that what we're all doing with the road program is indeed the right thing to do for the community. So thanks for sharing that. We already talked about the road program legislation. Only one other item to mention for the council. Ledgeview Road water main, the bid opening is scheduled for February 7th. So at a upcoming council meeting, we'll have legislation for the council, a recommendation to award that contract so that we can replace the water main on that road this spring and follow it with paving this summer through the road program. End of report.
Thank you. Director Manley.
Thank you, Mayor. And to echo the mayor, I'd like to invite everybody to an open house at the Recreation Center to celebrate the beginning of our 20th year in this community. It's something we're very proud of, something we're very excited about. The doors of the Recreation Center opened officially on February 27th, 2000. So we thought it would be fitting to host something close to that date. So February 23rd, which is a Sunday, we will open our doors to the general public. You do not have to be a member. You do not have to be a resident. There is no fine print. Free is free. We invite you to come in between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. You can bring kids swimming. You can take a fitness class. We're going to have extra classes scheduled that we wouldn't normally offer on a Sunday, just to give people the opportunity to see what we have to offer and see what we're all about. So we will have a lot of fun things taking place that day. Throughout the year, we will also be celebrating, so we plan to do a lot of giveaways at every event that we host, every event that we're a part of or that we have a presence at, even if it's not our own event. So we will be celebrating and giving prizes out all year round. So we do invite everyone to come see us on Sunday, February 23rd.
Can we have the
Thank you.
times again, please, Ms. Manley?
9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
And I'm sure we'll have social media blast and
Yes.
we'll have that on the website as well.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you. Director Veras.
Thank you, Mayor. Over the last few months, I've been reporting about water M&E, so this should probably be the last one because we're still receiving a few calls regarding the water M&E charge being shown on the tax bill. It brought their eyes down to another charge that is county-related. It's a sanitary sewer maintenance charge. So that is not from the city, that's from the county. And end of my report.
Thank you. Chief Ripley.
I'd like to echo something the mayor speaks about all the time with the distracted driving. I don't know how many of you are aware, but in the first 2 weeks of this year, there were 7 public safety officers struck and killed on America's highways, those being paramedics, firefighters, and police officers. So it is dangerous out there. Talk to any of the guys that work on the street. You just need to be very careful and put your phones down. In a 12-month period, we had a cruiser struck on 271, and then we had a patrolman hit on Route 82. Luckily, non-life-threatening, but serious injury. So I just, it has opened our eyes up even more to distracted driving. The only other thing I have is please, and if it snows a lot, if John holds down the snow, this won't be a problem. Keep your fire hydrants clear, and if you are incapable, call the station, and we will come out and do that. And it's been a pleasure sitting next to Marty McFly tonight. Thank you.
Chief Golden?
Thank you, Mayor. This past Tuesday, Macedonia lost a legend. Pete McRitchie passed. Longtime residents may recognize the name. Newer folks may not. But I want to read a little blurb that Detective Sergeant Ken Turley wrote some years back that can be found on the Macedonia website under the police department, under police history. And I'm going to read from what Kenny had written here. The McRitchie family, for a lot of people who don't know, has been in Macedonia for over 100 years. Jan smiling. Floyd V. McRitchie Sr., which is Pete's father, was appointed the first full-time village marshal December 13th, 1927. That's 1927, almost 100 years ago. So getting back to the history, the police constables were still responsible for enforcing laws and keeping the peace throughout the 1950s, working out of Old Post 1 of the Summit County Sheriff's Office in Northampton. How many people remember Northampton? Northampton Township. Ray Walls and Floyd V. Pete McRitchie Jr., son of Marshall McRitchie, were responsible for protecting northern Summit County. They handled calls from Stowe Township back in the day, Cuyahoga Falls, as well as Northampton and Macedonia. This was done in an effort by various communities to form the Tri-Township Police Department. In March 1956, the Macedonia Township trustees voted to withdraw from the Tri-Township Department concept and form their own department. The constables were ordered to work 5 nights per week, and by 1959 were 4 men in the ranks, with Constable McRitchie being named their first full-time chief. On June 12, 1962, the Township of Macedonia reincorporated and returned to village status. This date, too, was significant as constables became village policemen, and Pete, as he was known and loved, was named the first police chief. While Macedonia was still a relatively small town, the population continued to grow, and the new police department provided a valuable service. The department began to grow as well, and Chief McRitchie was instrumental in forming the police department that you recognize today. The Macedonia Police Department became well known throughout Summit County for its professionalism and the personnel the city hired during the turbulent years of the 1960s and 70s and were masters of their craft. Chief McRitchie, his sergeants, and their men rapidly gained a reputation for their fair and swift administration of justice. The will to be just and the courage to be human became the department's anchor, and these men were widely known for their kindness, dedication, and attention to detail. Pete honorably served in the Marine Corps as a sergeant and quartermaster. He enlisted in the reserves immediately after being discharged and served as a staff sergeant. He served on the Macedonia Volunteer Fire Department. He was a Freemason for 65 years, avid farmer, camper, hunter, and devoted family man. Thank you for your service, Pete, and thank you for what you've done for this city. That's all I have.
And I don't know that this will be up by tomorrow, but I know the wake is tomorrow and the funeral's on Saturday, correct?
Yes, sir. Portfolio funeral
Director Goodetti?
Just give council a quick update. We finally did hear back from Our Lady of Guadalupe. Although the diocese decided not to waive the appraisal requirement, they did agree to split the cost of the appraisal with the city, so we're going to be moving forward with that. The estimated time, turnaround time for the appraisal is about 3 weeks, so hopefully we'll have something in the near future.
Is that 3 weeks of 2020?
3 weeks of 2020, that's correct. We have a little bit more control over that process. So at least that's moving forward. And then I believe the building department recently received the application from one of the property owners that were receiving some dedicated property for the right-in, right-out over by Culver's. So hopefully the BZA can process that at their upcoming meeting, and we can move forward with the statutory assessment process.
Can I ask one quick question about the Guadalupe? When they go out to do the appraisal and the assessment of land, they come out physically?
They do.
Will they be walking the line and beyond the line so I can let the neighbors know?
I'm not sure exactly where they're going to be walking. I'd imagine they would walk anywhere they would need to have a complete view of the property. But once I find out a date that he's going to be there, I can certainly let you know.
Yeah, let me know, because some of the flags are still there and some of the flags disappeared with the wind. So, thank you. I can cross that off my question list.
That's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Any unfinished business?
I'd like to just add to the 20th anniversary of the rec center. As a member of the original committee, and unfortunately, the leader of that committee passed away. But I would like to recognize the other members of that committee as well as John Hauser. We worked very hard to get the message out of what could be done. We put together a 3-phase plan. It didn't pass by many votes, but I think everyone recognizes that since it's been erected and open, it has been a benefit to this community. And the Parks and Rec Board continues to look at what do we do for phase 2, what do we do for phase 3, recognizing the fact that originally it was designed over 20 years ago. Things change, wants change, needs change, and so what may have been phase 2 back then is not necessarily what phase 2 will be now. But I'd really like to thank everybody that worked on that committee, because it was not an easy task. It was a pretty hard sell, but I think the benefits have truly paid off.
I would just like to say that yesterday, some of us met with other community leaders and the school board, members of the school board, and just to have a get-together to reach out and talk about what's going on with the schools, what's going on with the communities, and where we all stand together. And it brought up the point that starting this year is when you'll see an increase on your tax bill for not only the water M&E, but you'll see the increase that was voted on for the school levy. And they haven't collected any money for that until now going forward. But they have done much of the work that they talked about doing when they talked about the levy. The high school roof has been done. Some of the basketball floors have been replaced. So I just want to remind residents that when your tax bill goes up, the bulk of that will be from the school levy that was passed last year. That's it.
The other thing for old business, the mayor always talks about don't drive distracted. You know me, a red light means stop. I almost got hit again today at Shepherd and 82. If you're in a hurry, leave a little earlier, to allow for it. The other thing is cars, turn signals are not optional. They're there for a reason. And as I drive down 82, Shepherd, Valley View, it seems that those are optional. I've never figured that one out. And I do know that automatics are going away and there will be no more stick shifts, but you still have turn signals.
Believe it or not, more standard transmissions are on the road today than there has been in a long time.
Sure would.
There's more stick shifts on the road today than there has been in a long time.
They won't make them anymore.
Yep.
They're not making them anymore. You have to Remember in the old days when you had to pay more to get an item, to get a the manual versus automatic? Well, now it's gonna revert. You have to pay more to get a stick shift. I love stick shift.
Thanks, Jan.
It's an old business.
I'm going to add one thing to this, based on some of the things that we talked about tonight, not to beat a dead horse when we talk about our baseball fields, but essentially what we have going on is there's not exclusivity for one organization to utilize our fields. I was approached by another entity to reserve some times on those fields, which I spoke to tonight, which are going to be half of the fields at Longwood Park on Tuesday and Wednesdays from April, May, and June. The majority of their requests are on the weekend, which at this point, I don't believe NHA has asked for any weekends with our fields.
No, they preferred to steer clear of weekend dates that were
Which are
available.
a lot of open dates for them, and we will work with them, and I can assure you that moving forward, we'll still have conversations regarding that, but the other local organization that wants to utilize the fields had approached me in August and had their dates prepared that they knew that they were going to have, and in planning, we wanted to start to book those. That's at that point when I met with Mr. Feliski and asked him what his demand was. We got his demand today, so that's part of the reason why we're having a little bit of a disagreement as to where we stand. And moving forward, again, there's not exclusivity for one organization. There are other local organizations that are going to utilize our fields. It's not fair to just give it all to one organization. So that's part of the reasoning for why we're doing it that way. Any new business?
This is hard for me to say, I should have had March 3rd. But we're announcing that at the end of March, our clerk of council, Josephine Arcisi, has submitted her retirement papers and will no longer be our clerk of council. Although we all know where she lives, and we all know her phone number. She's not gonna get too far away from us. Anyone who has worked with her knows she's our rock. She's our human encyclopedia.
Yeah, but apparently I can't do anything for spelling it.
Yeah, but we knew what you said, that's all that matters.
You still beat Britannica all the head.
That's right. So, for those of you, we are actively pursuing, and we have placed the job ad out for, I can't use the word replacement because she's irreplaceable, for a new clerk of council. It has been placed on the media sites, you know, did you put on Twitter,
It's on
Facebook?
cleveland.com, Facebook, Twitter, the city website, front page, and the council page, and the newsletter. I think that's the bulk of it.
So if you're interested, please go out, read the job ad. If you're interested, please submit the traditional application and appraisal. It is being sent to me, I'm accumulating law, and we will be scheduling interviews the second and third week of February, depending on how many applicants we get. The intent is to have the person hired by the end of February so that we have a month overlap to try and extrapolate as much data out of his brain that we can. So it's with heavy heart that we announce this, but as one who retired from AT&T last year, it's a hard decision to make. But it's, you know, once you make it, it's all good. So, thank you. That's all I have.
Any other new business? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.
I forgot.